I'm Maura Weiler, and I work at Lamoille South Unified Union. Today I'm talking about proficiency-based learning, and proficiency-based learning really has changed our whole system and structure of how we would think about classrooms and schools. Proficiency-based learning has a few key elements. One is having really clear and transparent learning targets for students. Along with that, it's providing feedback to students and interventions sort of in the moment. It's allowing for flexible timing, extended timing for students to reach mastery, and also allowing for student agency and choice in how they reach those learning targets, because they're skill specific, but they're not specific in how students have to demonstrate their mastery. And so when I think about schools and classrooms and how that's changed things, it's really made the learning more transparent for the student and for the teacher, having really clear outcomes in mind. And it also leads to things like integrated learning, negotiated curriculum, because there's the clear standards or proficiencies there. And in terms of schools, we've really had to think about systems to help support students and their pacing in meeting those proficiencies. So schools are considering things like adding flex time so students can go back and work with teachers if they haven't yet demonstrated mastery. Things like if the end of the year comes and a student isn't proficient on something, how are we supporting those students? And it's also given new language for teachers. The proficiencies are vertically aligned, and so teachers who may teach different grades or even different courses, they now have common proficiencies and common language to talk about what they teach, and that is really powerful in changing schools. So proficiency-based learning is one of the three pillars of Act 77. So the three pillars are personalization, proficiency-based learning, and flexible pathways. And I really like the analogy of them being three pillars, because with only one, things would fall down, right, if we had a roof on it. And so when I think about proficiency-based learning, that's really at the heart of this. These are the things that we want our students to know and be able to do before they graduate. And because we're really clear on those things, we're able to allow for personalized opportunities. Students can show us those things in a variety of ways, and also flexible pathways. So because we're clear on what students need to do to graduate, they can use a variety of extended learning opportunities. They could do internships, online programs, and there's more clear goals in mind of what they need to do in order to be ready for graduation, and really to be ready for careers, college, and civic life. And so when I think about that, I really think about, the proficiencies really define who we want our graduates to be. And then from that, we're able to personalize opportunities in the classroom and also allow for opportunities outside of the classroom and in the larger world for students to learn. So one of the things that about proficiency-based learning that really, when we talk about equity, that I think is so important, is that it really creates more transparency. It's no longer that the teacher is the one who has the power and knows what the outcome is. That's shared with students. And so when I think about equity, the game of school has changed. And so now students know what it is that they're working towards. There's also a lot more transparency on when we think about student grading. It's a lot more clear areas that a student struggled. And also the feedback that teachers, the language for the feedback that teachers can provide to students, because we're really clear about the skills that we're expecting students to have. We're targeting that instruction. And if there are gaps, we have new ways to identify and catch them and make sure that students receive what they need in order to move forward. Along with that, because there is that transparency on the proficiencies, and because it doesn't say how a student can present that, we can really think about students' interests, students' identity, and tailor instruction to meet them where they are, and also to amplify who they are. And so those are some things that I think about in terms of how proficiency-based learning and personalization sort of help to create more equitable schools.